I've organized my life into 5 areas. They all start with F: faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. And I have goals in each one of those, but every day I look at all of those areas and say, what's one thing I can do today to improve my faith, my finances, my fitness? I could eat better today than I did yesterday. Okay, no candy bar today. Great. That's one thing I can do today. But I start every day by looking at those 5 areas of my life and just say, what's one thing I can do in every area? And what it does is it simplifies life.
Michael DeLon creates credibility. As a credibility coach and the president of Paperback Expert, he helps business owners clarify their message and capture more clients using their Amazon best-selling book. By implementing his credibility marketing system, you'll gain more clients, get more referrals, and grow your revenue. Michael is the author of On Marketing, a #1 Amazon best-selling author, you won't be surprised to hear, and the creator of the Credibility Game Plan. Michael lives south of Kentucky with his wife and his 4 children. And I know that he's a DIY expert and he's currently helping his son to do up his house. Carpentry, plumbing, you name it, Michael can do it. Michael, I'm so glad you spared the time from all of that amazing work that you do to come and spend some time with us. It is such a delight to have you here.
Thank you so much. It is a joy to be here, Nina. I can't wait for a great conversation and just spending some time and sharing some from whatever I have to share. I want to share with your audience and help them out as much as I can. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. And I know that you work with a lot of financial advisors. Financial advisors, how they can get stuck and struggle to get to their next profit level. So we want to dive into all of that, the mindset behind that, how they can, pick themselves up from where they are and start soaring in their business. But first of all, I'd love to know about your journey. How have you come to do what you do? Your successes along the way, your failures along the way, what role your mindset has played to bring you to this point of success.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'll give you my story really fast. Okay. It's about 3 minutes long, but I'll do it. It'll just help you understand the whole gamut. Okay. So I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I've been married since 1990. And the first 5 years of my marriage, Nina, were like this. My wife and I were just fighting because we're complete opposites. And she and I both grew up in church, but nobody ever taught us how to be married. And so we kind of fought and had conflict until we went to a marriage conference by a ministry called Family Life. And we sat in a ballroom for a weekend, and they shared with us God's blueprints for marriage. I didn't know he had any. So we grabbed his blueprints. We started applying it. Our marriage got better. And this was through the 90s. In the 90s, I was working for a Christian radio station in sales and marketing. And that's where I learned how to do marketing for small business owners. We had 2 sons during that time, and things were great. And then at the end of the 90s, God led us out of that radio station into a startup.com back when Amazon was just getting started. That company was ahead of its time, which means it went bankrupt. And so I found myself without a job looking at the ceiling going, God, what am I supposed to do now? And he said, Michael, I want you in a ministry to marriages. I want you at Family Life, that ministry that changed our marriage. So we raised our support as missionaries, moved from Indiana down to Little Rock, Arkansas, world headquarters for Family Life. Thought I hit nirvana. Why would I ever do anything else, Nia, but help build marriages and families? So I applied my skills. I climbed the corporate ladder. 6 years later, I'm on the leadership team of this worldwide ministry. And then they started going through corporate reorganizations. And the 3rd reorganizational chart was rolled out, and my name was no longer on the leadership team. So they started shuffling me around the ministry to do whatever needed to be done. And that began, Nina, a 2-year, I call it a prison term, where I was in a job that I hated at a ministry I loved. And after 2 years, I finally got fed up. I said to my wife and God, I said, I got to get out of this place. And God said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go help small business owners with marketing because they hate it and I love it. And he said, okay, go. So on January 1st of 2013, I escaped from prison. I left the ministry behind. I started a marketing consulting firm. I had 1 client and I helped him break through some barriers. He'd refer me to you and I would call you and set an appointment. I'd come out and meet with you. I say, Nina, I can help you grow your business. We'd have a great conversation. And you'd say, Michael, this sounds good. Tell me something. Who else have you helped? What have you been doing for the last few years? And I said, I've helped build marriages and families at Family Life. And you would say, Michael, that is honorable. Way to go. Look at the time. I have another meeting coming up. Let's reschedule another meeting and talk some more. And you'd usher me out the door. I wasn't gaining clients, Nina, because you didn't see me as a marketing guy. You saw me as a ministry guy. And I knew I had to fix that. And so I went to my church one day. I was pacing the hallways, second floor, and I said, God, how do I help Nina? Because I know I can. And he gave me the idea to put all of my ideas into a book. And so I published my first book on marketing back in 2013. Then, Nina, I would call you. I'd set an appointment. I'd mail a copy of my book to you. I'd walk in your office a week later, and there it was. My book was on your desk. It was dog-eared, highlighted, underlined. You'd read my book. And in that meeting, you'd say, now, Michael, in your book, you said, how do you help me do that? And you'd hire me. And you'd refer me to somebody. I'd start gaining clients. And I thought, wait a minute. Why don't business owners do this to help them with their marketing? And that was the seed that got planted that has now grown into Paperback Expert, where we help financial advisors and experts create a book without writing a word, and then use their book in their marketing to educate their clients, to gain clients, to get referrals, and to grow their revenue. That's my story, Nina. I'm sticking to it.
Amazing. I love it. That's a great story. Now, this may be a little bit off script, but I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
You turned your marriage around. What was the number one thing that you did that had the biggest impact in transforming your marriage?
It was a little thing we took out of the marriage conference. We put it on the refrigerator on how to resolve conflict and to own it, so that it was, I'm sorry for blank. I did not mean to offend you doing this. I am sorry. Will you forgive me? Nina, that little thing right there, when Jill and I started applying that, everything changed, because we realized we had to communicate and stop beating each other up and holding each other responsible for things that were my responsibility. So when I owned my responsibility and started seeking Jill's forgiveness for how I offended her, that was the turning point that helped us resolve conflict, communicate better, and start down a path of growth.
And she would do the same as well. So you were both doing it.
We were both doing it. Yeah. And we stuck that thing on the refrigerator because we were new at this. We're like, I'm sorry for, okay. And it was a formula. It was like a blueprint for marriage, right? So yeah, that's what we did.
Amazing. Do you still have it on your fridge now?
We don't. Yeah, we've memorized it. It's like tattooed on our brain. You know, we can just walk through it. We taught our kids and other people because it's a simple thing.
Could you just go through these 3 things again, please?
Sure.
For anyone who's you don't have to be married. You could just be in a relationship and apply this. You could apply it to your parents, your siblings, friends. It works for everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It's I'm sorry for blank. I'm sorry that my words have hurt you. I did not mean to show you disrespect or whatever it is, right? Will you forgive me? That's the kicker, Nina. And then we're not here to talk about relationship mending, but that's the one. Because if I just say, oh, Nina, I'm sorry. I haven't reconciled. I still own control. But when I say, Nina, will you forgive me for what I did to you? Now I've released control and I'm at your mercy. And when you say, yes, Michael, right? We're back together and we can keep building. And that's the real secret. But I'm sorry for specific. I did not mean to show you honor, whatever. Will you forgive me? Game changer.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way to apologize. I love it. Great. Thank you. So let's move on to financial advisors.
Okay.
Why do you think that some financial advisors struggle to get to their next profit level? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I see them. Self-doubt is one of the biggest things, Nina. The financial advisors we've worked with have forgotten more about financial advising and planning than their clients will ever understand. But they are inside of their own mind going, well, I'm not good enough. I don't have this designation. I don't do this. And then they're looking at a few of their peers who appear to be super uber successful. And they're like, well, I'm not them. And so it's that self-doubt that comes up very much like I was having self-doubt at the very beginning when you saw me as a ministry guy. I knew I could help you, but it started eroding my self-confidence. But when I put all of my ideas into a book and you got my book and you went, hey, Michael, you're brilliant. Look at this. And I'm like, I'm not really that brilliant. It's just common. But it got me out of my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So the self-doubt is, I'm not good enough. Other people are better than me. I can't, charge fees, or I can't work with a certain level of client, and all of these things. So when you were in that situation and you felt that, not getting many clients, people are just saying, yeah, interested, but they're not booking me. How did you get over that level of self-doubt? So, on a practical level, you wrote a book, very clever thing to do. But how did you keep going in that situation?
Yeah, I had to look at the situation and realize that for me to own up to who I am, I had to be me. Meaning, I have a very unique way of communicating. And at the beginning of my business, I had to be a marketing consultant, Nina. I had to wear a suit and a tie because my clients expected me to look and sound a certain way. And that didn't work very well. And what I found is that when I kind of popped that bubble and I realized I just have to be Michael, and I have a different way of doing marketing for you. Let's talk about that. What I found is that it was refreshing, not only for me, because it allowed me to be me, it allowed my clients to connect with me and relate to me, because I wasn't parroting everything else that everybody else was saying. Because in marketing, everybody says the same thing, right? And I was able to begin a relationship on common ground because I showed up as me. And I think that was a game changer. And it was scary because I didn't know if my clients would actually like that, because nobody else was doing it. So did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I know from having conversations with you that you do really connect with people, that you have a real interest, you lean in, you're curious, and all of that. And I think that is the core of it. It's not so much what you know, although everyone who's a financial advisor is an expert. They've done their exams, they know their stuff, etc. That's just a given. And it's that uniqueness that brings, first of all, it's like a chicken and egg. You have to have the confidence to think, okay, I'm me. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to trust that, I can show up. People are going to think I'm unique and all of that. And then as you do that, you connect, then you become more confident as a result of it.
Yeah.
So it's that uniqueness. And for us to remember that actually we're not the same as everyone else. We are all unique. No one else does financial services in the way that I do. I've got my own unique way of presenting and looking after clients. And so comparing yourself to other people is such a waste of time in my book, because everyone is on their own journey. Sometimes you look at other people and think, oh, they're really successful. But when you look at their numbers, they're actually not.
Right.
So people can have this veneer of success, but it doesn't mean that they actually are successful. So I think it's one of the biggest time wasters of all, comparing yourself to other people.
It is. Okay. And so one of my marketing principles that I teach is people buy who you are more than what you do.
Mm.
And if you notice in the bio that you read, that I gave you, it it spans a lot of territory. It talks about my family life. It talks about my faith. It weaves in there different things about my book. And I do that on purpose, Nina, because I want different audiences to latch on to something. We didn't even talk about my 2 adopted daughters. And we've done foster care for 8 years. And I've got teenage daughters. And we didn't even mention that because my bio gets too long too fast. But all of those different people connect to different spots. And because I share my faith in my business, a lot of my prospects and clients resonate with that because they are faith-based entrepreneurs and they resonate with me because they trust me immediately because we speak the same language and right? That's why I do that. And I think when advisors show up real and just be yourself, tell me a little bit about you and your family. I helped one financial advisor. We were writing his book and it was good. And we were having a conversation one day. He's like, "Oh yeah, I do a lot of bike riding, mountain biking because where he lives, he does mountain." And he's like, "It's funny because a lot of my clientele and things they do too." I'm like, "Have you ever can we weave that into your book and your positioning?" He's like, "Well, why would I do that? It has nothing to do with financial advice." I'm like, "It doesn't matter. They're looking for a person to connect with, to trust, who can help them with financial matters." He did that. Nina, it's changed everything for him. He's out on his bike doing like little videos on his phone, sending them to and they love him because they are bike riding people. He showed up as himself, and every financial advisor can do that in some form or fashion to be you.
I love that. So this is a really easy way to differentiate yourself from your competition. Show a little bit about your life. If it's a hobby, if it's a little bit about your family, people sometimes think, well, no one's going to want to know that about me.
Oh.
They do because they want to get to know you as a human being. If you're going to be looking after your wealth, which
Yes.
impacts your family and everything, they want to get to know you as a person. And it's so interesting you said that. I remember writing an email about my mother passing, and it was really heartfelt email. At least 50 people on my email list replied to that email.
Yes.
And they told me stories about their parents dying. And it was incredible because when you open up and you show that you're vulnerable, it really resonates with people. So I think that would be an amazing thing for everyone to think about doing.
And they need to. And when you think about it, Nina, it's a mindset shift because I talk about email marketing a lot to my clients because I love email marketing because all of my emails are story based.
They're wonderful. I would recommend everyone subscribe to your emails.
Thank you. But we do that on purpose. And when I talk to advisors about writing emails, oh, they're all stuffy. Oh, I can't say that because of it. Rule. No, actually, you can. You can be yourself, and it will connect so deeply with your audience. They'll know, like, and trust you. They'll believe you. They'll want to do business with you and tell others about you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about limiting beliefs around money and how we can put a ceiling on how much money we can bring in. What is your mindset around money and being able to grow your business? Is this something you've had to struggle with? Are you just naturally an abundant thinker?
Nope.
What's your journey been like?
I've struggled with that for years, Nina. So I grew up. My dad was a fireman. Okay, in the United States, a fireman doesn't make a ton of money. They make an okay living, and then my mom was a cashier at a grocery store. So we lived just a medium type life. Right? I was never around money, and so I got in my business, and I follow the people who say, well, you've got to be spending $10,000 a month on marketing before you can. I'm like, I don't have that. And so I've struggled with that abundance scarcity mindset most of my life, and I'm still getting over it, right? And I look at scripture. Jesus says he came to have life abundantly. And I look at, God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He owns the hills too, right? And I've been able to pivot my mindset. And it's funny. It's like climbing a mountain, right? 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2. So I continually reaffirm in my mind abundance. What is it? But more for me, what drives me, Nina, is not accumulating lots of money. It's earning lots of money that I may give it away to my family, my kingdom, my team. That's what drives me. And so when I started connecting, serving my clients with more money, and that means more giving, that's where I find joy. And so I've almost disconnected the abundance mentality as far as running after more and more and more to say, no, I'm a conduit. I'm going to do plumbing this weekend with my son, right? We're going to use conduit, PVC to hook. That's what I want to be. I want to be a PVC pipe that money flows through. Now I'm going to keep some of it and do some fun things, but I love giving. And that's what's helped me in the mindset department go, no, it's not about me and how much money I have 4 houses and 3 cars and a Lamborghini. It's not about that for me. If that's you, go for it. But I want to serve clients and watch their businesses grow and watch them have the freedom that they can have and watch those light bulbs come on. And together we're doing great and mighty things in the world. That's what's helping me, but it is still a daily discipline for me to program my mind. Otherwise, I fall into that scarcity mentality really quickly.
Yeah. And what would you say to any financial advice who are listening, who are thinking, okay, I love serving my clients, I get that bit, but I still can't charge a fee, or I can't raise my fee, or I can't ask them, I can look after all their money, or there's still a level of client that I really feel I can't, who wouldn't be interested in working with someone like me. So what would you say to them in terms of, it's expanding their vision of what's possible for them?
It is. A couple things is number one, go back and talk with some of your clients that you've helped and hear from them the value that you have brought to their life. Okay. Price is just, money is just a byproduct of the value that we provide. And if anybody else is charging money to do consulting, to do financial advice, you can too. And what I would really recommend is test it. Right. I was stuck, Nina, in a mindset for our pricing for our business for a long time at a certain level. And I had a sales call one time with a coach. And I told him my prices. He's like, why is it so cheap? Why aren't you charging more? And I went, I don't know. I mean, he really rattled my cage. And so we started testing higher prices. And believe it or not, some people bought it. That shocked me. I'm like, wow, maybe I am worth it, because it's not the money we exchange, it's the value. And when you can understand the value you're bringing to a family who, I mean, financial advising is like a rat maze to those of us who are uneducated. We don't know what to do. We don't know who to trust. And to find somebody we trust to go, okay, guide me down this pathway, that is an inestimable amount of value. People will pay handsomely for that over time.
Yeah. So if it's something that, anyone who's listening or struggling with, talk to someone, get them to question you and rattle your cage, because that's what really gets us to start thinking in a different way. Very easy to keep doing the same thing, making the same excuses, playing small. That is the easy thing in life. But actually, the impact it has on us is enormous.
And if you want to have really good conversations with prospects that are high value prospects, they're not looking for the free guy or gal, because everybody's free. Well, I'll do a free financial analysis for you. I'll do a free this. I'll do a free that. I'm not interested in. I want somebody who has value, who respects themselves, right? And who will provide me the value I need. And I'm willing to pay for that. That's the kind of client you're really looking for. And you need to position yourself that way mentally, emotionally, and in the words that you say. And the high value clients that you're looking for expect to pay their service providers. They don't go to the dentist who gives them free dental cleaning, right? They just don't do it. They pay for value. The value you provide is worthy. You've got to own that and trust that.
Yes. And the way that I work with my clients is it making that shift in your thinking. So you have to believe that you are the person who can work with that type of client. Because if you believe that you're not the type of person who can work with that type of client, then why would you try to work with that client? Because all you would see is failure in front of you. You
Yeah.
have to believe you are the person who can work
Okay.
with the wealthy clients.
Yep. Let me give you this. This is something I teach. I disciple a lot of men, and I teach this, but it works for everybody. It works for kids. And I think this might help your audience because it helps me. Now, I drink a lot of coffee. Okay, I'm a coffee drinker. But this is an acrostic that I created a number of years ago called TEA. Thinking, emotions, actions. And they all three work together. So if you're stuck in a feeling or in a mindset that you're not worthy, you're feeling unworthy, so you're not taking the actions you need to take. How do you change that? I'd recommend you change your thinking first. Affirmations that are not, I'm the best, no, good affirmations that resonate with you and your value system. Read those every day. That's going to change and influence your emotions, how you feel, which will lead to you having courage to take another new action. And that's going to reinforce your thinking, which helps your emotions, which TEA is the simplest formula I have found that helps me stay grounded and get out of my woe is me mindset, right? And to understand how simple can it be, TEAT, that helps you make those changes that we need to make on a very simple, routine, habitual methodology. Does that make sense?
Love it. I think that's wonderfully simple. And I completely agree with every word you said. So it is about our thinking. How much time are we spending thinking about problems? Can't do it. It's too difficult. I'm not as good as other people. And how much time do we spend thinking about what we want, our goals and desires?
Mm-hmm.
Most people probably spend 80% of their time thinking about problems, what they don't want, 20% of the time thinking about what they do want.
Yeah.
If that's what is happening for anyone who's listening, then you're going to get 80% of what you don't want in life. It's logical. It works perfectly in that way. So we have to shift our thinking and start choosing the thoughts we want. For me, the easiest way for me to change my thoughts and for my clients is to start focusing on what we want. Now, for most people, it doesn't happen overnight. It's discipline, it's commitment. It takes time, it takes planning to put that into your day. But the rewards, I can't even begin to tell you what those rewards are. They're indescribable.
Yes. And I think something else that trips people up, financial advisors up, is they focus too much on one thing, on business and money and things. Okay. I've organized my life into 5 areas. They all start with F: faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. And I have goals in each one of those, but every day I look at all of those areas and say, what's one thing I can do today to improve my faith, my finances, my fitness? I could eat better today than I did yesterday. Okay, no candy bar today. Great. That's one thing I can do today. But I start every day by looking at those 5 areas of my life and just say, what's one thing I can do in every area? And what it does is it simplifies life. Now, I have obviously bigger goals and things that I look at and things, but on a daily basis, if you just look at the core areas of your life and say, what's one thing I can do to improve my sales process today or my marketing today? What's one thing? If you do one thing every day, Nina, you're going to make tremendous progress. But it has to be this mindset that I start my day. I mean, I plan tomorrow, today, and then today when I wake up, I look at my plan and go, okay, I know where I'm going. Let's get after it. And it's simple, but it is mindset, just what you're talking about. I so agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a daily mindset practice and it takes discipline. As in anything in life, you keep doing it, you get cumulative benefits. They keep building and building and building. And then you start seeing dramatic changes in your in your physical world
Yeah.
because your thinking has changed, and that is what drives everything you see in your external world. So when you do have a setback, things don't go to plan. How do you pick yourself up? How do you get over setbacks?
Yeah, great question. So it comes back to philosophy, right? Personal philosophy. My philosophy is God's in control and he can be trusted. And so when I have a setback, number one, I'm like, all right, Lord, I don't know why that's happening, but I'm trusting good's going to come out of it. Number one. And then I pull back, and a lot of times I'll take a walk around the block to clear my head, because if I stew on it, that's going to start a downward cycle. So I get away, I take a walk, I call somebody, a friend, I talk to my wife, my son. I try to reframe how I'm thinking and feeling about that situation. And I just know, Nina, that if I can get my head screwed back on straight faster, it's going to help the next thing that I do. Somebody told me years ago, it's like the professional golfers, Tiger Woods or whoever it is, right? Arnold Palmer, they hit a bad shot. They don't think about that shot anymore. They go on to the next shot. And that's a discipline that they have developed. We need to do the same thing. What's done is done. If a client says no or get lost or an appointment doesn't show up, bummer. All right, what's next? And it's a habit that you have to discipline yourself to go, that hurt. When you lose a sale, which happens, do I dwell on that? No. I may look at it and say, okay, was there something else I could have done? Okay, well, let's go, because there's another one in the future. So I've just over time realized God's in control. I'm not going to win it all, but I can't dwell on things because it's just a negative cycle. So I go back to my T, right? I try to control my thinking. What am I thinking about? Who am I listening to? Am I listening to myself? Because that's normally not a good thing. And here's a question. I now learned this from a book. Are you listening to yourself, or are you talking to yourself? I like to talk to myself with affirmations and good things and say, okay, it's not me. They're having a bad day. It's okay. I'll have grace. Let's go on. I talk to myself to get my thinking right, which actually helps me feel better emotions. And then I can take the better actions versus saying, I'm done for the day. I'm just fed up. I'm just going to go sit on my back deck and do nothing. That's not very productive, right? So that's what I do. I take walks. I talk to people, but I really go back to my T thing and just go, all right, I don't understand it. I don't have to like it, but what's done's done. Let's go. I think for me, taking a big, deep breath sometimes, just going, okay, what's next?
Yeah, rather than stewing in it, wasting time and building it up into something big, which can then impact the decision you make in the moment.
100%.
We use our past against us.
The other thing, Nina, I tell people is to think on paper. So if something happens, or if you've got a decision coming up, and you're not, or think on paper, get out a piece of paper and just write down what you're thinking and feeling. Because what I found is when I think in my head, it's like spaghetti. There really isn't an ending to it, because I just keep going around. But when I think on paper, I can actually see what I'm feeling and thinking. And it might take me 5 minutes just to write down, I didn't like that, or I wish they would have. And then I look at it, and then I can do whatever. I can crumple up, throw away. But to express it, for me, I'm not a big journaler, but I just find thinking on paper is helpful versus in my brain. So I don't know if that's helpful for people, but it helps me clarify my thinking, going back into my mindset. And I think one thing, this may sound blasphemous, Nina, but coaches talk a lot about mindset. And I think mindset has a bad rap. I think a lot of people, when they hear, I'm a mindset coach, I help you with mindset, they think you're going to make them sit in the corner and go, right, and just do these wacky, weird things.
Yes, woo-woo stuff.
It's not that at all. We hired a coach a year and a half ago, and he's like, a lot of it was mindset, but he's like, we need to get you highly organized. And he meant in my day, calendaring. And so I work on a paper calendar now, Nina, because it's part of that organizational system to clear my mind and my thinking for my day, which helps everything that we talked about, right? It had nothing to do with chanting and looking in the mirror. And That is not mindset. Mindset's practical. It's taking things that you know from your experience, you're imparting, and say, do this. How about that? And as simple as it is, nobody teaches these practical things, kind of like what you teach your clients, Nina. I've had to go out and hire other coaches to teach me stuff, and it's just like, well, that was easy. Well, it is when common sense is only common after somebody tells it to you most of the time. And so
Yes.
that's why I love what you do. And it's just at one level, it's really simple because I teach my organizational system to other people now. It's like, well, this is not rocket science, but I cannot tell you the clarity it's given me in my thinking and the feeling I have of I own my day, which gives me greater confidence to go out and serve my clients because I think differently and I feel differently because I'm organized. That's a mindset. And so I don't know where that came from, but I just want people to understand mindset is not that woo-woo stuff and manifesting something out of thin air. No, it's work, but it's disciplined work and it's controlling your thinking, your emotions, and your actions to get what you want in life, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm spot on. I couldn't have said it better
Awesome.
myself. And the thinking, it all starts with your thought.
It does.
Everything starts with a thought. Everything's created twice, once in your mind through your thinking, and then secondly, on the practical thing you can see in the outside world. But it has to be created in your mind first.
It does. That's interesting. I've never really thought about it this way till right now. You just said that. And I mean, I've heard that from Covey, everything's created twice. But if you go all the way back to Genesis 1:1 in the Bible, it says, God spoke everything into existence. God had it in his mind, what he wanted, and then he spoke. He used words. And I think to help our mindset, we need to have the right words, goals, affirmations, aspirations, and we need to write them down because words have meaning and words motivate and words have power. They live. So
they do matter, don't they? They really matter.
They really do. I'm gonna have to go back and noodle on that one.
It's wonderful. So, Michael, what would you say is the biggest lesson that life has taught you so far?
That life has taught me, I would say, well, two. One is I'm not in control. I know God's in control of all things. At the same time, he has work for me to do. And so I can't just sit back and say, okay, God, you do it, you bring it. No, it's a both and combination, right? But God's in control. I'm not. That's number one. And as it relates to business and in life, whether I'm in church or what, to be myself, to show up and say, this is me. And you've experienced a lot of my emails, a lot of my videos, a lot of my marketing. And I hope that I'm portraying myself to the public the same way I'm portraying myself right now. Because if you and I ever get together and have coffee or tea, this is what you're going to get, Nina. That consistency has helped me and is just relieves all pressure to try to impress somebody. I am not here to try to impress you. This is what I've got. So I think those two things for me have just opened up life so that I can just show up every day to be me, to use the gifts, talents, abilities God's given me to serve others and to have fun in life. I mean, life's supposed to be fun.
What a great note to finish on. It's been so much fun interviewing you. I knew it was going to be fun and it's been amazing. And thank you for sharing so much incredible value on this call.
Oh, Nina, you're welcome. It's so good just to hang out with you and have a fun, just a conversation. Thanks for allowing me to open up and go on some rabbit trails that I don't normally hit. But tea is one of my favorite things to help people understand the simplicity of a great mindset, connecting that with our emotions and taking great actions.
Absolutely. So how can our listeners find out more about you and the great work that you do?
Oh, thank you. Paperbackexpert.com is our website. That is the hub of all things Michael. Great resources, free trainings. You can schedule a call, whatever you need. Paperbackexpert.com.
Fantastic. And I would encourage everyone to sign up to your very entertaining, highly valuable emails. And I think you do them daily, don't you?
We do them, I call it near daily. We'll miss a day
daily.
but near daily, yes.
Wonderful.
Fun.
And, your personality shines through. I know the work you do is amazing. I hear from many people that how much you've helped them. So please do check out Michael and become one of his subscribers. Thank you. It's been so much fun.
You're welcome, Nia. It's been my joy. Thank you for having me.